Hey, it's Tyson, and I'm excited to join you once again for a quick episode. And today we're going to talk about cold plunges. I asked you all to text me to let me know if you wanted me to cover it, and you said yes. So that's what we're going to do. Before we take the plunge into today's episode, I do want to tell you about something special that we have for our listeners, and that is stage one of our roadmap course, Maximum Lawyer and Minimum Time. This is something that Jim and I have spent a lot of time on, and we want to give it to you for free. This is something we give to our guild members. We give them the entire course, Maximum Lawyer and Minimum Time, and we give it to all of our guild members for free whenever they join. But we're going to give you stage one for free if you text stage one to 314-501-9260. Just text stage one to that number and you will get it for free. You're not going to want to miss this. So hopefully you will take advantage of that. All right, so let's jump into this. So why the buzz around cold plunges? I'm sure that those of you that follow me on social media, you've seen me post about it quite a bit. I'm down to 45 degrees, which is really cold. I can tell you that. But I'm sure you've seen it from anywhere from Tony Robbins to, professional athletes. You're seeing this gain a lot of traction. And I don't know if it's just me because I do cold plunges and I post about it, but I know I've been getting a lot of ads about it lately. So I don't know if it's just that or if it's just something that is definitely something that a lot of people are doing these days. But there are a lot of scientific studies on this. They can confirm that cold immersion can benefit anywhere from your mood, your immune system, your metabolic rate. But it's one of those things where, there's a guy named Wim Hof. He's known as the Iceman, and he really puts it best. Feeling is understanding, because people ask all the time, like, why do you do it? Why do you do it? Why do you do it? And I send them a list of all of the reasons that I do it, because there's a lot of great benefits to it. But it's really, until you've done it, until you've felt it, it's hard to explain. It really is. But I want to talk about my personal setup, and that's what kind of started people texting, because they want to hear what my personal setup is. Because I did do a DIY version. You can buy the more expensive ones if you want, but I will tell you, I found a great solution. My wife Amy, she found it on YouTube. I was gonna go buy one of those, big plastic tubs and fill it with ice, and she said, well, "Are you really gonna want to go buy ice all the time?" And I said, "Well, not really." She's like, "Well, I was watching videos on this, and I converted a chest freezer, and I converted it into my own little cold plunge tank." So here's what I did. I found one for, I think I paid $150 or $175 on Facebook Marketplace. I found it, and it was in good shape. It was 9 cubic feet. I was specifically looking for that. I think maybe in hindsight I'd go a little bit bigger, but it just depends on your body size too. I'm not super tall. I'm not super big, so it's 9 cubic feet works for me almost perfectly. Just the only reason I'd want it maybe just a little bit bigger, so I could move around just a little bit more, but it really does work for me, what I've got. So I would go 9 cubic feet or above. If you're bigger, I'd definitely go bigger than 9 cubic feet. But it's really kind of cool. The key to this is, after I get the chest freezer, which, find one that's got a drain plug at the bottom in case you've got to drain it. You could also, we have a swimming pool, so we also have a cover that when you close it, if it rains, you get water on it. And so we've got a device you can put on top that drains the water. So if you got something like that, you can drain the water that way too, if it doesn't have a drain hole. But it's best if you have a drain hole. You just empty it. But it's something I put in my garage. I went through and I actually caulked it and went through and I sealed it. I took some of that the guy that takes he cover up the bottom of a boat, whatever that stuff is, and sealed it. I put some of that sealant on there as well. It's kind of that spray sealant. So I caulked it and then did some of the spray sealant on it as well. You don't have to do that yourself, but it's something I did just as an extra precaution. I didn't want it to leak. But the real key to this thing, the absolute key, is an Inkbird temperature controller. And you want to get the ones that you can go on with the probe that goes into water. So it's the rubber one, not the plastic one. And you want to make sure it's the one, because I made the mistake where I ordered the wrong one first, and it did the one that only heats and not doesn't cool. So you want the one that actually stays on, where the freezer stays on until it gets to the set temperature and then turns off. And that's the key to this, which is really nice. So it doesn't freeze all the time. The freezer is not going nonstop. What happens is once it reaches optimal temperature, and I have it set where it can go up 2 degrees. You can change it to whatever settings you want. You can have it 1 degree, you can have it 10 degrees, but I have it set for 2 degrees, and it can go up to 2 degrees, and then it starts cooling again. And that is the real key to all of it, is having that Inkbird. And then to keep the water clear, I went to a pet store, and bought a fish tank water filter, and it keeps the water clear. It keeps it bacteria free. And so it's a nice little tool. And then as an added little thing, we have this extra, because we have a pool, we have this chlorine little device that sits on top of the water that we don't need. We just have it. I think someone gave it to us. So every once in a while, I'll take a little chlorine tap, throw it in that, and set it in the water for a few minutes. I don't leave it in there because that's just too much chlorine, but I'll just leave it there just a little bit, give it a little bit of chlorine. And then it helps keep the water fresh too. So a couple pro tips on that. So let's talk a little bit about the science though, because this is something that people have wondered quite a bit about. And there's a lot of things that you can do, or that a lot of things that cold plunging will really help you when it comes to the benefits. The main thing, and this is something that most people probably overlook, is inflammation is a really big problem when it comes to our bodies, and it'll decrease that inflammation. It helps constrict those blood vessels and helps reduce the inflammation. It'll give you an endorphin rush. And so that cold stimulates that release of those endorphins, which is the body's natural painkiller, which is great. It helps improve your sleep and your mood. All right, that's another one. Stress reduction. Okay, it helps you with your stress management. It can help you in injury recovery. It can boost your testosterone. And it can also help promote lymphatic drainage, regulate hormones, accelerate your metabolism. There's also some mental benefits other than the stress reduction. It helps you with mental resilience, which is really interesting. So that it's got to be consistent exposure though. So consistent exposure to cold temperatures can help you build your mental toughness. Discipline. So that ongoing practice helps teach the mind to get comfortable in a state of discomfort, that allows you to improve your mind's ability to deal with stress, which is also great. I will say this. With my current setup, I always unplug it. I don't want to be electrocuted. I'm sure some of you are probably wondering, oh my gosh, do you get in there when it's plugged in? Never do I do it. I don't even put my hand in it to test the water. I keep it unplugged whenever I get in. So that is another tip. I would say, don't get in it unless you unplug it if you're going to do your own. But maybe you just want to buy one of the expensive ones, and you can do that as well, or you can buy one of the cheap ones and put ice in it. But either way, I can tell you personally, this is anecdotal. I did tell you, some of what the actual science says, but I can just tell you, I get this amazing feeling, and this is kind of cool, is that energy boost that you get lasts throughout the day. Many of you coffee drinkers, just go research this. Research on your own. Compare the coffee intake to cold plunging, and all the benefits that you're really wanting without the negative effects you're going to get from cold plunging, and you're not going to get it from the coffee intake. So just keep that in mind. That's something that to consider. But when it comes to temperatures, all right, if you want to start doing this, you want to start cold plunging, you're going to want to start probably around 60 degrees or higher. 60 degrees to me didn't sound like it was very cold, but I'll tell you, it was very cold. I started to move. My process, I started at 60 degrees, started to move it down gradually. And then once I got down to 55, I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Once I can sit in here for 5 to 10 minutes, I will start to go down from there. So when I was at 55, I got it up to 10 minutes. And then I said, okay, I'm going to start bumping this thing down. And then now that I'm in the 40s, I tell myself, if I can get up to 3 minutes, then I'll start to go down from there. I'm not going to just sit for 5 or 10 minutes for that long in that type of temperature. I know there's several people on the internet that you'll hear, they'll sit in there for in the 30s and the 40s, low 40s. But I'm gonna tell you, 45 degrees is super cold. I remember whenever I first felt 48 degrees, because I went from 50 down to 48, and it was so much colder. It's kind of crazy how much colder it feels to you, and maybe may just be psychological. Who knows? But 45 degrees is really cold. So start slow, and also make sure if you have any health issues, check with your doctor first. I'll make sure, as we're lawyers, check with your doctor first. Don't that's my little disclaimer. Don't just jump in if you think you got any health issues that might be affected by it. All right, so whether you're interested in the thrill of doing it, the health benefits, or just the challenge, I like the challenge of it. I do recommend that you give it a try. And if nothing else, your regular shower, if you want to try that, go with a cold shower, you can do that as well. But that wraps up today's episode. Make sure you subscribe and check in with us next week. But until then, remember, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Stay tuned for next week's episode. See ya.